Humans were never meant to go to the gym, at least not in the way we think about it today. Our bodies did not evolve for treadmills, weight machines, or hour-long workout sessions squeezed between meetings. They evolved for something very different. And that matters because many people today feel like they are constantly failing at exercise. They start routines with good intentions, struggle to stay consistent, feel guilty when motivation fades, and assume something must be wrong with them. But what if the problem is not you? What if the problem is a mismatch between the kind of movement your body evolved to expect and the artificial environment we've built around it? Here is the real question. If exercise is supposed to be good for us, why does our brain resist it so strongly? Why does sitting feel effortless while planned workouts can feel like a battle of willpower? From an evolutionary perspective, that resistance is not a flaw, it is a clue. When we look at this through the lens of evolutionary biology and anthropology, a very different story emerges. One that has nothing to do with laziness and everything to do with survival. For most of human history, physical activity was not something you chose to do for health. It was something you did to get food, find water, build shelter, or stay safe. Movement had a purpose. Rest, on the other hand, was precious. Energy was limited and wasting it could be dangerous. That evolutionary legacy is still written into our physiology today. Our muscles, metabolism, and even our motivational systems were shaped in a world where unnecessary exertion could be costly. So when modern fitness culture tells you that you should want to exercise for its own sake, it is asking your brain to operate in a way it was never designed to. I'm Daniel Lieberman, Harvard professor and evolutionary biologist. I've spent my career studying how the human body evolved to run, eat, and survive. Now I'm here to help you understand why your Stone Age body struggles in a modern world and exactly how to fix it. Welcome to the evolution. In this video, I want to explore what humans actually evolved for, why the modern gym is such a strange environment from a biological perspective, and how understanding this mismatch can change the way you think about movement, not as a test of discipline, but as a conversation with your evolutionary past. To understand why the gym feels unnatural to so many people, we need to step back and look at the kind of lives humans actually evolved to live. For more than 2 million years, our ancestors survived as hunter-gatherers. They walked long distances to find food and water. They carried children, tools, and gathered plants. They dug for tubers, climbed over uneven terrain, and occasionally sprinted or threw when hunting or escaping danger. Their days were active, but not in the structured, repetitive way we think of as exercise today. Anthropologists who study contemporary hunter-gatherer groups find that people are physically active for several hours a day, but most of that activity is low to moderate in intensity. It is walking, carrying, squatting, lifting natural objects, and using the upper body in varied ways. There is also a lot of rest. People sit, talk, repair tools, prepare food, and sleep when it is dark. Activity is woven into life, not separated from it. This pattern reflects a fundamental principle of evolutionary biology, energy conservation. For most of human history, calories were not guaranteed. Finding food required effort, and going too long without it could be deadly. Under those conditions, natural selection favored bodies and brains that avoided wasting energy on unnecessary exertion. That is why we have strong biological instincts to sit down when we can, to take the easier path, and to avoid pointless physical effort. These tendencies are not signs of weakness or poor character. They are ancient survival strategies. If you feel resistance to going to the gym after a long day, that response actually makes evolutionary sense. Our physiology also reflects this history. Humans evolved to be endurance specialists, not power machines. Compared to most mammals, we are unusually good at walking and running long distances at steady, moderate speeds. We have spring-like tendons, large gluteal muscles, and an ability to sweat that helps us cool down during prolonged activity. But these adaptations evolved in the context of movement with purpose, not repetitive workouts in climate-controlled rooms. Another important detail is variability. Ancestral movement was constantly changing. One day might involve a long walk, another might include more climbing or digging. Some days were relatively easy, others more demanding. The body was exposed to a wide range of loads, angles, and surfaces. That variety helped maintain strength, mobility, and resilience without isolating individual muscle groups or tracking repetitions. Now compare that to the modern gym. Many workouts are highly repetitive, focused on specific muscles, and performed on machines that guide movement along fixed paths. From an evolutionary perspective, that is a very strange stimulus. It is not that these movements are inherently bad, but they are disconnected from the kinds of tasks our bodies evolved to perform. There is also the issue of timing. Our ancestors did not wake up early to do a workout before sitting still for the rest of the day. Their movement was spread throughout the day in small and large bouts. In contrast, many people today try to compress all their physical activity into a single session, then spend most of their remaining hours sitting in chairs, cars, or on couches. So when exercise feels like an unnatural chore, it is worth remembering that your body is not confused. It is responding exactly as a body shaped by millions of years of evolution would respond to optional, purposeless exertion. Understanding that history is the first step toward building a healthier relationship with movement in the modern world. This brings us to the modern mismatch. The environment our bodies evolved in and the one we live in now are profoundly different, especially when it comes to movement. For our ancestors, physical activity was built into the fabric of daily survival. Food did not arrive with a click. Water was not piped into shelters. Tools were not delivered to the doorstep. To meet basic needs, people had to move, not because they wanted to burn calories, but because movement was inseparable from living. Today, in many parts of the world, we have engineered movement out of our lives. We sit to work, sit to commute, sit to relax, and often sit to socialize. From a biological perspective, this level of prolonged inactivity is unprecedented. Our bodies evolved in an environment where long periods of total stillness were rare outside of sleep or brief rest. This is the core of mismatch theory. Evolution shaped our physiology for one set of conditions, and we are now placing it in another. When those conditions diverge too far, problems can arise. In the case of physical activity, our bodies still expect regular varied movement spread across the day. Instead, we give them long stretches of sitting punctuated by occasional bursts of intense structured exercise. It is not surprising that this feels difficult to sustain. The gym asks us to perform effort that is optional, abstract, and often disconnected from immediate rewards. In ancestral environments, movement had clear outcomes. You walked and found food. You carried wood and made a fire. You dug and found something edible. The brain evolved to respond strongly to effort that solved real problems. Modern workouts, by contrast, are based on delayed benefits. You exercise today to reduce the risk of disease years from now. That is a powerful reason intellectually, but it is not the kind of immediate feedback system our motivational circuits were designed around. So when you struggle to feel motivated, it does not mean you lack discipline. It means your ancient brain is weighing costs and benefits using rules that made sense in the past. There is another layer to this mismatch. Many people approach the gym with an all-or-nothing mindset. If they cannot do a full workout, they do nothing. But ancestral movement was rarely all or nothing. It was accumulated in small bouts. A short walk here, some lifting there, a brief climb, a few minutes of digging or carrying. Over the course of a day, it added up. Our physiology still responds well to that pattern. Muscles, bones, and metabolic systems benefit from frequent signals to move, even if those signals are modest. From an evolutionary perspective, consistency matters more than intensity. Regular low to moderate activity aligns more closely with the conditions under which our bodies evolve. So the problem is not that humans are bad at exercise. The problem is that we have defined exercise in a way that is biologically unusual, intense, time-bound, optional, and often socially pressured. When you see it this way, your resistance stops looking like a personal failure and starts looking like a predictable response to a novel environment. That shift in perspective can be surprisingly liberating. It opens the door to thinking less about forcing yourself into a gym routine and more about redesigning your environment so that movement becomes a natural, almost unavoidable part of daily life. Again, here is the surprising part. Even though humans evolved to be physically active, we did not evolve to love unnecessary exercise. That might sound counterintuitive. We often hear that humans are born to move, which is true in one sense. Our bodies clearly function best when we are regularly active. But from an evolutionary perspective, there is an important distinction between being capable of movement and being motivated to expend energy without a reason.